Part 58. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 572. Fellow deist men. The immortal lord's eyes suddenly lit up when he saw the figure at the end of the street. He was talking about Menkingzi just now, but he never thought that the other party would come now. My subordinate, Menkingzi, has met several seniors. Menkingzi felt a little uncomfortable on his face, but after being discovered, he couldn't just leave. After all, the people here would throw him away thousands of miles away if he was pulled out. If he turned a blind eye, he would encounter him again in the future. It's inevitable to be a little embarrassed, and I am a member of the Devil's Path. These people all regard themselves as righteous. At this time, with the existence of the great enemy of the underworld, they will naturally not be hostile to the devil. But if the underworld disappears, that's hard to say. Therefore, at this time, it is very necessary to have good dealings with the immortal Lord and Teishu and others. At least we have fought side by side. In the future, he may be able to escape from the evil ways. I just talked about fellow deist men to the two seniors, and I didn't expect that fellow deist men would come back. The immortal Lord said with a smile on his face. I am worried about you. Menkingzi smiled. He heard what he said just now. These people are gathering resources and want to cultivate an immortal king. He is in the middle stage of the great emperor, and the distance from the immortal king is elusive. These people, if you really want to help yourself, you will inevitably have to bleed a lot. If you are willing to kill yourself in this kind of loss-making business, you will not participate in it. Unless, when you reach the peak of immortality realm, these people are willing to dig into their pockets to help you. But is this possible? Menkingzi thinks it is unrealistic. You have to fight for your strength and cultivation by yourself. Relying on the help of others and placing your hopes on others is too illusory. My little friend came at the right time. I must have come here today to meet the senior building owner. How about entering the TNG building together? Teishu suggested. After hearing this, Menkingzi's expression froze, and he laughed dryly and said the junior's strength is too low, so I won't disturb the important affairs of the seniors. There is no harm in the junior going to the TNG tower after a while. That's fine. Teishu didn't force it, Hisu said. Everyone has his own ambitions, and it's reasonable for Menkingzi not to interfere. His resources were obtained by going deep into dangerous situations, and it's not easy for others to force him to take them out. Beside, Immortality Genjun also sighed lightly and said nothing more. Inside the TNG building, Wang Che was silent for a long time, and asked reluctantly, Senior, now that the matter has come to this, is there any way to make the young master change his mind again? They are the protectors of the young master. The young master's path has gone astray. They are also to blame. When the elders of the Lu clan are settled, he, Zhang Zhangfeng, and several other immortal realm figures will not be able to escape. Have. Li Yun said without thinking. You young master just want to go further, as long as you can let him see hope and offset the consequences of his holding the inheritance of the underworld. He will naturally change his mind. This. Wang Che's expression changed. This is too difficult. The young master's strength is that he is an immortal king. Let him see hope, that is, let him become a quasi-immortal emperor. This is too expensive. Unless the Lu family takes action. But how could such a big family pay such a high price for Lu Qingyu? Using this resource to support other more powerful elders, wouldn't the benefits be greater? As for eliminating the consequences of Lu Qingyu's inheritance from the underworld, the simplest way is to kill everyone who knows the news. In this case, the consequences will naturally disappear. But this is simply not realistic. First, they will not be able to pass the level of the Lord of Tianmang Mountain. If they can pass it, then there is no need to waste time here. Does the senior have a better way? Wang Che asked softly. Right now, only Master Tianji is their last hope. Apart from that, there is no chance. Have. Li Yun still uttered one word, but after a pause, he slowly said, but judging from the current wealth of the two of you, I'm afraid you can't afford it. I see. Wang Che smiled bitterly. He and Zhang Zhengfeng looked at each other and saw the helplessness in each other's eyes. At this point, the two of them seemed to have no way out. The young master sought refuge in Tianmang Mountain, and he and others wanted to confirm the young master's identity. State. We have also spent all our money. We are almost at the end of our rope. The two juniors have been harassing the seniors for a long time, so they will take their leave today. Wang Che stood up, cupped his hands and said. The owner of Tianji Tower has already said bluntly that they have no resources in their hands, and they also know their own family background. If they continue to stay here at this moment, they will not get any useful information. It is better to leave first and go with them. Several other guardians discussed how to resolve this matter. Should they inform the Lu clan? Or should they choose to side with the young master and join Tianmang Mountain? Li Yun nodded, glanced at the two of them, and said, I won't send it away. The words had just finished. Li Yun seemed to have remembered something, and said again, today I will send you another message. If it is not necessary, you can stay in the Wang city. Wang Che and Zhang Zhengfeng suddenly took back the steps they had taken, and asked in confusion what did the senior mean by this. Literal meaning. Li Yun didn't want to explain too much and just waved his hand. Well. Although the two of them were confused, they still arched their heads and said, Thank you, senior, for your guidance. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 573. Zhang Zhengfeng and Wang Che walked out of the Tianji Tower hand in hand. Passed by Taishu and others who were guarding outside Tianji Tower. The ancestor of the Zhou family looked at the backs of the two people and couldn't help but frown. For some reason, these two people gave him a familiar feeling, as if he had seen them before somewhere. But judging from their aura, they were very strange. It seemed. Not a creature from Sumeru realm. Weird. The ancestor of the Zhou family murmured to himself. What did fellow Taoist find? Taishu asked in confusion. It's nothing, maybe I'm overthinking it. The ancestor of the Zhou family shook his head and glanced again at the direction in which Wang Che and the two left. At this moment, the other party had turned the corner and disappeared completely. The Lord of Tianmang Mountain was born, and many people who were hiding in the world were afraid that they would not be able to sit still. Taishu said softly. The implication behind his words was obviously that he was alluding to the two Wang Ches who had just left. The strength of these two people is very good. They have reached the peak of the immortality realm. If they can go further, they may be a terrifying figure. But it's a pity. These two people have no idea of getting close to them. There is no need for them to rush to make friends with each other. That should be the case. The ancestor of the Zhou family nodded, and then said the people who entered the Tianji Tower have left. Without further delay, it is time for us to meet the senior owner of the Tianji Tower. This is his first time coming to Tianji Tower. He is still very curious about the legendary owner of Tianji Tower. That's fine. Taishu nodded. At the same time, the edge of the deserted city. Zhang Chengfeng and Wang Che looked at the sea of clouds below their feet with sad expressions on their faces. The last words of Senior Tianji Building Master just now seemed to have some profound meaning. Wang Che said in confusion. As the owner of Tianji Building, what he said must have some basis. Since they were allowed to stay in the Wang city, they must have their own reasons. But the key is, what is this reason? Could it be They left. Will you encounter danger if you enter Dawang City? After all, Dawang City is the safest place today. Even an immortal king would not dare to act arrogantly here. As long as he stays here, even the Lord of Tianmang Mountain will not be able to do that. They have no choice. Maybe they don't want us to disrupt the current situation. Zhang Zhangfeng murmured. Do you think, Senior Tianji Building Master, he has calculated that the Lord of Tianmang Mountain will be detrimental to us? Wang Chei's eyes lit up, as if he had guessed something, and he said in a low voice. The Lord of Tianmang Mountain. Zhang Zhangfeng pondered slightly, then nodded and said, I don't rule out this possibility, but the young master has become the deputy mountain master of Tianmang Mountain, and there is always a romantic relationship. He should not take action against the two of us. The strength of the two of them is not weak in any world. There is absolutely no one at the same level who can win the two of them to join forces. If you want to kill them, unless the immortal king takes action. But now, these few in the world, there are only a few immortal kings on the surface. One is the young master, one is the master of Tianmang Mountain, and there is another one who they don't know has entered the Tianji Tower. But thinking about it, the one who just broke through the immortal king will not be detrimental to them. In this way, it can be said that there will be almost no danger for the two of them walking outside. Hard to say. Wang Chei frowned and said in a deep voice. In my opinion, the young master must have had no choice but to join Tianmang Mountain. In order to cut off the young master's retreat, the master of Tianmang Mountain will definitely take action against you and me. This. Zhang Zhangfeng fell into deep thought. He had to say that he thought what Wang Chei said made sense. Several of them had already been with the young master in his previous life. Now, as the young master's protectors, their feelings are not ordinary deep. The young master will definitely not harm them. But the master of Tianmang Mountain is hard to tell. If there is no trouble, the master of Tianmang Mountain is now looking for their whereabouts and preparing to kill them. If this is the case, wouldn't it be very dangerous for the few fellow Taoists who are still outside? Zhang Zhangfeng said thoughtfully. The two of them came to Dawang City and could escape the disaster, but the same could not be said for those who stayed outside. If they were targeted by the Lord of Tianmang Mountain, there would be no way to survive. Also, no matter whether the young master has hard reasons or not, he has already joined Tianmang Mountain and has a relationship with the underworld. As the protectors of the young master, should the Lu family be notified? As Lu Qingyu's protectors, they have a very heavy task. No matter what Lu Qingyu does, they must inform the Lu family. Not to mention critical news such as surrendering to the underworld. But as the young master in the previous life, they understand the consequences of doing this. Once the news is spread back, it is hard to say what will happen to them, but the young master will definitely be liquidated. After all, the shadow of the underworld is too big in the hearts of those creatures in the supreme world, and most of them are with the attitude of preferring to kill the wrong person. If they find out that Lu Qingyu is involved with the underworld, they will definitely kill Lu Qingyu right there without asking any questions. Just wait. Wang Chei sighed and said, let's go pick up some other Taoist friends. Then we will discuss how to deal with this matter. That's fine. Zhang Zhangfen nodded. They have always kept the words of Master Tianji in their hearts, but the two of them only left Dawang City, but did not leave Tianyuan world. It shouldn't be a big problem, right? After all, the Lord of Tianmang Mountain is still in Sumi. In the world, Tianyuan world should not be taken care of. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 574. Outside. Dawang City. About 1,000,000 miles away. Wang Chei suddenly stopped. He frowned and said, there seems to be something wrong. What's wrong? Zhang Zhangfeng said puzzledly. I just sent a message to several other fellow Taoists, but after so long, there has been no response. Wang Che said in a deep voice. Logically speaking, the jade slips are always carried with you, so it is impossible not to be able to detect them. Even if you enter cultivation, you can detect the movement of the jade slips. But these fellow Taoists of mine, no clue. No matter how you look at it, it's a bit unusual. Close to death. Zhang Zhangfeng said in surprise. As soon as the sentence came out, he vetoed it himself. Every one of them knew the current situation. They could go into seclusion at any time, but not now. Those people probably also understood this truth. Shouldn't it? Zhang Zhenfeng's expression changed and he murmured, have they been found by the Lord of Tianmang Mountain? There was no movement from the jade slips, and there were only three possibilities. Either the owner had gone into seclusion, or the jade slips were lost. Yes, people are dead. Seclusion is impossible, and it is even more impossible if the jade slip is lost. After eliminating the first two guesses, only the third one remains. Probably not. Wang Che said uncertainly. Since the young master was captured, they have chosen to stay in the Xianguang realm. Apart from the young master, how can the Lord of Tianmang Mountain know this position? It can't be possible, the young master has joined Tianmang Mountain. Do you regard yourself and others as a certificate of surrender? As soon as this idea came out, the two of them suddenly fell into an eye cellar. Although they could not believe it, the fact was before them. With the vastness of Xianguang realm, even the Lord of Tianmang Mountain, it would take some time to find them. However, several other people died in a very short period of time, and even the news was not spread. It was not the young master who secretly helped, and they really couldn't think of the second possibility. Is this the reason why Senior Tianji Poster said that it is best not to leave Dawang City unless necessary? Zhang Zhangfeng suddenly realized. Although they couldn't figure it out before, they never thought that the two of them would perish. After all, the Senior Tianji building master only said that it was best not to leave Dawang City. He did not say that the two of them would die if they left. This is a bit of luck. So they wanted to pick up a few Taoist friends. Now, through the jade slips, they deduced that several other Taoist friends might be missing, and the two of them suddenly began to panic. Because they didn't know that the other few Taoist friends were gone. When did fellow Daoist fall? If he had just fallen, then whether it was the young master or the Lord of Tianmang Mountain, these two people should be in the Xianguang realm and would not be able to come to the Tianyuan realm for a while. But if they were they already dead when they entered the Tianji Tower? At the speed of the immortal king. I'm afraid that the young master and the Lord of Tianmang Mountain are about to arrive at the Tianyuan realm. That's probably it. After thinking about the cause and effect, Wang Che's face was as dark as water. As expected, the young master is determined to join Tianmang Mountain and rebuild the former underworld. So what do the two of them have to worry about? Immediately return to Dawang City and pass the news back to the Lu clan that the young master has joined Tianmang Mountain. Wang Che said in a deep voice. The young master has not died. The two of them should face some punishment, but it will not be too serious. After all, it was the young master who took the initiative to seek refuge in Tianmang Mountain. The inheritance of the underworld was also planned by the young master. These people are nominally protectors, but in fact, they are just Lu Qingyu's subordinates. Good. Zhang Zhangfeng did not hesitate. He also understood the seriousness of the matter. He immediately took out a golden jade slip and wrote some information into it. But not all the information was written into it. Suddenly, a majestic pressure, falling from the sky. Bang! It was like billions of sacred mountains falling from the sky, with boundless pressure, falling on Wang Che and Zhang Zhangfeng. Before the two of them had time to react, they were smashed to the ground. A deafening sound was heard. The earth cracked, and cracks spread out in all directions, centered on the two of them. The terrifying aftermath swept across tens of thousands of miles. All the mountains and ancient trees were turned into powder in an instant. Among them, there was also the hand in Zhang Zhenfeng's hand. Jade slip. A complete message has not been fully inputted and has been barely transmitted. But it is hard to say whether the Lu family can understand it. Puff. The two spit out a mouthful of blood at the same time, dyeing the ground below red. This breath. Wang Che and Zhang Zhangfen looked at each other, and they both saw the incredible and shocked look in each other's eyes. For the two of them, this breath was too familiar. In the past years, the owner of this breath had been with them for 100,000 years. Now I feel it again, but the situation has changed. Little Lord. The two of them turned back and looked at the sky. They saw two figures appearing in the void not far away. One of them was not the young master they longed for. Who else could it be? The other one was almost the Lord of Tianmang Mountain, who has become the nightmare of the entire Sumeru realm. These two people appeared at the same time, almost representing Lu Qingyu's position. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 575. Young Master, have you really joined Tianmang Mountain to help the evildoers? Zhang Zhangfen was heartbroken. Although he already knew everything from Master Tianji, seeing the young master appear again today still made it hard for him to believe it. It seems that you have already been to Tianji Tower. Lu Qingyu's white clothes were fluttering, his hair was flying, and his whole body was shrouded in divine light. He was like a supreme immortal king, standing high above, looking down on all living beings. There was no expression on his face, only endless indifference. For his two former subordinates, he had no mercy. From what the other party said just now, he had already inferred something. If they had not been to Tianji Tower, how would they know that they had joined Tianmen Mountain? How many other fellow Taoists were also at the hands of the young master? Zhang Zhangfeng asked in a deep voice. They are waiting for you on their way to death. Lu Qingyu said coldly. This is the Tianyuan world, there is no need to talk nonsense with them. If it attracts the attention of the owner of Tianji, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to take action. The Lord of Tianmang Mountain took a step forward, glanced at Lu Qingyu, and asked. Do you need me to help you kill them? No need. Lu Qingyu shook his head. He stretched out one hand, spread his fingers, and a rune flew out of his palm. Thousands of golden lights bloomed, turning into divine swords and shooting out. My people can only be solved by me personally. Clang. 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 The sound of clanging swords was heard, shaking the world. At this moment, the sky and the earth were filled with countless sword lights, like a raging sea of Wang Yang, sweeping across, covering every corner of the void, making it inevitable for people to avoid. Young Master, in the past, the underworld swept through all the worlds, and in the end it was difficult to destroy them. Today, there are only two people, the young master and the Lord of Tianmang Mountain. How can they fight against the heavens? Wang Che, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly raised his head and said in a cold voice. We are on the road for now, but we will wait for you on the road to death. The last sentence was spoken. It was like the coldest curse, echoing in the world. The words reached Lu Qingyu's ears, and his expression suddenly changed, as if he had been stabbed in the foot. He shouted. Die! Boom! Endless sword light poured down, like the Milky Way bursting its banks, flooding the boundless space. Wang Che and Zhang Zhangfen were completely wiped out without even a scream. Looking at the two people who had disappeared into thin air, Lu Qingyu's face was still ashen. He didn't expect that his two submissive men in the past would say such vicious words to him when they were about to die. They didn't even ask for mercy. Fellow Taoists do not need to take their words to heart. Now our destiny is in our own hands, and we have the final say on the outcome. The Lord of Tianmang Mountain comforted him. Having said that, today is different from the past. There are no immortal emperors in the world, not even quasi-immortal emperors. Who can stop us? Of course. This does not include the owner of Tianji Tower. Because the other party will not go against the underworld, they will naturally not deliberately provoke Tianji Tower. I understand this. Lu Qingyu took a deep breath, and his mood gradually recovered. He stretched out his palm, and a suction force spurted out from his palm. The originally broken jade slip was taken by him. He restored the jade slip with a wave of his hand, and saw after reading the contents inside, his expression suddenly changed drastically. Oops. Lu Qingyu lost his voice and said. What's wrong? The Lord of Tianmang Mountain asked curiously. The news that I joined Tianmang Mountain was sent out by them. According to my estimation, it won't be long before a strong immortal king from the Lu clan arrives. Lu Qingyu crushed the jade slip again and said in a deep voice, the time left for us is running out. Without further ado, how about we go to Tianji Tower first? The Lord of Tianmang Mountain said in a deep voice. Good. Lu Qingyu nodded. The two of them stepped out and arrived in front of Dawang City in an instant. Without any hesitation, they quickly walked inside. At the same time, inside Tianji building, the breath of the immortal king, Taishu suddenly turned around and looked outside the Tianji Tower. Although the Tianji Tower can isolate the prying eyes from the outside world, there is no barrier from the inside to the outside. At this moment, not only Taishu, several other people, as well as many people in Dawang City, felt with the power of the immortal king. After all, 1,000,000 miles is not that far away. Many people have noticed that something earth-shattering happened 1,000,000 miles away. Very strange, the immortal king who seems to have never been seen before. Taishu murmured. Could it be that someone fought against an immortal king in Tianyuan realm? This seems to be. The ancestor of the Zhou family next to him had a look of surprise in his eyes and whispered that person who became the immortal king in Tianmang Mountain. He had never met Lu Qingyu, but he heard others mention it later. After all, his network of relationships is much broader than that of Taishu. The emergence of a new immortal king in Tianmang Mountain is not a secret to him. It's just that he doesn't know who the immortal king is yet. Dare I ask, Senior, do you know who this immortal king is? The ancestor of the Zhou family turned around and raised his hands to Li Yun and asked. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 576. He is just an immortal king who has just joined Tianmang Mountain and does not belong to this world. This time, Li Yun did not choose to conceal it, but said it directly. At this moment, Lu Qingyu took action. His identity is no longer a secret. After all, everyone in the Sumeru realm has sensed it. In addition, he restored the immortal king when it comes to strength. Many people in the Sumeru realm have speculated. I don't know how many people have already learned that there is a second immortal king sitting in Tianmang Mountain. Li Yun continues to conceal it, which makes no sense. You just joined Tianmang Mountain, but you still don't belong to this world. The ancestor of the Zhou family raised his hand to stroke his beard, his brows knitted tightly together, and he said in surprise, could it be that he is an immortal king from another world? Good. Li Yun nodded and continued, but if you want to know his specific origin, this news will cost you something. Lu Qingyu himself is no longer a secret. But the Lu clan behind him still has some weight. In the entire Tianyuan world, no one knows about the Lu clan behind Lu Qingyu, let alone why Lu Qingyu came here to intervene. Things in the underworld. It seems that Tianmang Mountain is not as simple as we imagined. The underworld that has made a comeback today may not be able to resist with just the sum of our worlds. Taishu said in a deep voice. Although he has become the immortal king, he is not so arrogant that he can resist the entire Tianmang mountain with his own strength. After all, he can't even defeat the lord of Tianmang mountain. Not to mention, there is another strange immortal king. Judging from the power of the attack just now, this immortal king may not be as strong as the lord of Tianmang mountain, but it is not far behind. He should be a veteran immortal king. His strength is definitely above him. Now, this strange immortal king suddenly took action not far from Dawang city. Did he come here specifically to deal with someone, or did he come to Tianji Tower? Or both? Yes. It's just to deal with someone, so it's okay to say something, but if you come to Tianji Tower, this is troublesome. With the temper of the senior Tianji poster, I'm afraid he won't be stingy when it comes to information. As for what information those people can get, it's hard to say. The senior just said that this immortal king has joined Tianmang mountain. I am afraid that for us, he is an enemy rather than a friend. It is urgent that we have a few more immortal kings here. The immortal lord said in a deep voice. With a wave of his hand, 3 storage rings fell in front of Taishu and others. He smiled and said, these are some of my thoughts. I hope you too will accept them. This. Taishu's expression froze, and he looked at the immortal lord in disbelief. At first, in the underworld, he, the immortal lord, and Menkingzi all gained a lot, but all his belongings were exchanged for becoming the immortal king. Although the immortal lord spent some money, it definitely didn't use too much. Now, he took out 3 storage rings, probably all his belongings. I am currently a powerful enemy of the underworld. I am of low strength, so I am afraid that I cannot be of much help. I will treat this small kindness as if I have gained some meager strength. If an immortal king could be created, it would be a blessing to all the heavens and worlds. The immortal lord said without any concern. Taoist friends are righteous, and I admire them. The ancestor of the Zhou family bowed his hands to the immortal lord with great admiration. He asked himself. Under such circumstances, he would never be able to be so free and easy, even if he knew that no one in the Zhou family could become the immortal king. But he would not spend all his resources to cultivate others. But the immortal lord did it. This made him not know what to say for a moment. If you have any needs in the future, you can come to the holy land of Taishu to find me. I will not refuse. Taishu took a deep look at true Lord Changsheng and spoke with sincerity. The weight of these words was a bit heavy because he didn't say anything specific, which meant that as long as true Lord Changsheng spoke, he would help. And not everyone can get the promise of an immortal king. The immortal lord was unfazed by the favor and humiliation, and returned the favor to the 2 of them, saying time is running out, the 2 seniors should decide as soon as possible. The immortal king of Tianmang mountain has arrived, but the lord of Tianmang mountain is also outside Dawang city. This time has passed. That is to say, they are already standing in front of the Tianji Tower, and they are not surprised at all. On the other hand, they are not surprised at all. But Li Yun was very present, without any urgency, he was calm and gentle, he just smiled and said nothing, as if everything was under control. What fellow Taoists said is that it's time for me to ask the most important question. The ancestor of the Zhou family reacted, but before he could ask, he was interrupted by Taishu. Wait a moment. Taishu spoke. The ancestors of the Zhou family and the immortal lord next to him both looked over in confusion. We are in the Tianji Tower, but the immortal king of Tianmang mountain is in the Tianji Tower. If after we leave, they come to visit their seniors again. Taishu said in a deep voice. But it's not over yet. But the meaning behind it is self-evident. The ancestor of the Zhou family was not a fool. He reacted immediately and a layer of cold sweat broke out on his body. So close. I was almost plotted by the people in Tianmang Mountain. The news about Tianji Tower can be bought out, but the price will be increased several times. This person originally had the opportunity to be the immortal king, but today he has to pay several times the price. They simply can't afford it. If there was no news of the buyout, the immortal king of Mang Mountain could easily obtain all their whereabouts as long as they entered the Tianji Tower that day. By then, the fate of the fifth elder of the Xiao clan was a lesson for them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 577. What should I do? The ancestor of the Zhou family was helpless. He and others were already standing in the Tianji Tower. They had to buy the news, right? If they didn't buy it, how could they resist Tianmang Mountain? And after buying it, they made trouble and ended up fighting for Tianmang. Shan made the wedding dress. As for the buyout, they never thought about it. The cost was too high and they couldn't bear it. They could have used the resources to make several people become immortal kings. In the end, only one person became the immortal king. This was a big loss. Okay. Judging from the current situation, the addition of an immortal king will probably not help matters. How about we ask our seniors why they came here? The ancestor of the Zhou family's eyes lit up and he said softly. If he knows the other party's purpose in advance, he and others can plan it calmly. Who says they can't be the aureole behind the scenes? After all, they also have an immortal king here. Ah! Although I can't beat him, it shouldn't be difficult to escape. This. Taishu was speechless. He felt that this method was still inappropriate. The opponent has two immortal kings, and it is too difficult to seize food from the tiger's mouth in their hands. And no one can guarantee what the purpose of these two people coming to Tianji Tower is. It may be for strength, or it may be for other trivial matters. It's even possible that they just came to test the attitude of the senior Tianji poster. If it's the last one. I and others spent a lot of money to get this news, but the result was of no use to them, which was a bit of a loss. Inappropriate. Taishu finally shook his head and sighed. The top priority is that we should increase our strength. This is true, but the people from Tianmang Mountain are already here. It is equivalent to adding many variables out of thin air. Said. Taishu glanced at Li Yun inadvertently. The variable in his mouth was none other than the master of Tianji Tower in front of him. This senior, with a single thought, can change a world from decline to prosperity, but he can also change it. Let a world go from prosperity to decline. For now, as long as the owner of Tianji is slightly biased towards the underworld, they will have no chance of survival. Even if there are a few more immortal kings, they will be defeated one by one. Fortunately, Tianji the poster was non-committal about what he said, which made him feel relieved a lot. At least the poster, Tianji, currently has no clear position. He will not favor any party. This is good news and bad news for them. Can you grasp it? If they take the chance, they can only rely on themselves. Senior, if you have any suggestions, please tell me quickly. The immortal lord said eagerly. At the moment, the people from Tianmen Mountain have arrived. Whether they can get out of the deserted city is still unknown. It would be a waste of time to continue to lie at this time. In the past, the underworld swept across the heavens. Today, many ancient families still have records of the underworld. Taishu did not continue to beat around the bush, but said straightforwardly, I'm wondering if we can send out the news about the present world in the underworld. Hearing these words, the eyes of the ancestors of the Zhou family and immortal Lord Changsheng lit up. Their strength is indeed much different. Even if they pool their resources together, they may not be the opponents of Tianmang Mountain. But if they are, the news, if it is sent to other worlds, it will be different. In the vast chaos, the world is like the sand of the Ganges. If you find a powerful world, you only need to send the news from the underworld to a terrifying force. By then, I'm afraid there are many powerful people coming. Tianmang Mountain alone will definitely not be the opponent of all heavens and worlds. Although this method is not brilliant, it has to be said to be the most practical method. The only disadvantage is that chaos in the vastness, they couldn't find other powerful worlds at all. Instead, they found some weak worlds with a higher chance. But even if the weak worlds came over, it would be of no use and they would die in vain. Senior, do you know if there is a more powerful world outside the Tianyuan world? The ancestor of the Zhou family couldn't wait to say. Ah! Li Yun chuckled lightly, glanced at the ancestor of the Zhou family, and said two words lightly. Nonsense! Before, when there was only the Tianyuan world, he had integrated the other worlds with his own hands. Now when the ancestor of the Zhou family asked this question, wasn't he asking knowingly? At this moment, even Taishu and true Lord Changsheng have some face. They couldn't hang up anymore. They understood that the reason why Taishu proposed this was because they valued the master of Tianji. They wanted to use the hands of the senior master of Tianji to deliver the message to the powerful world. Even if the master of Tianji refused to deliver it, at least can you also point me to a clear path? Worlds that are just one step stronger than the original Tianyan realm include the demon realm, the ghost realm, the desolate realm, and other worlds, and even better, the god realm, the immortal realm, and so on. Li Yun raised his eyebrows, glanced at a few people, and said with a chuckle, you want to know the whereabouts of that world? So much. Taishu and others clicked their tongues. They knew that Tianyan realm was a powerful world. Even if it was divided, there would still be people at the peak of the immortality realm. But they didn't expect that there were many stronger than Tianyan realm. Any world can be merged. If you come here, you can probably crush Tianmang Mountain. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 578. Countless in all the heavens and realms. And Tianyan realm is just a corner of the world. Li Yun said with a chuckle. In the eyes of some powerful creatures, the original Tianyuan world was probably not even a world, at most a small pond. Even if it was destroyed, no one would feel sorry for it. Now the fusion of many worlds. It is just to stand shoulder to shoulder with some powerful worlds. It is too difficult to surpass. At the very least, it is necessary to merge a few powerful worlds again to have some hope. That's what the senior said. Taishu nodded, and he said thoughtfully, I wonder, in the eyes of seniors, the creatures in that world hate the underworld the most, and are they willing to help juniors and others? In other worlds, the stronger is the stronger. But no one can guarantee that if they are really lured here, it will lead to the situation of attracting wolves into the house. Originally, it was already very difficult for them to resist only one Tianmang mountain. If they were attracted, if the people who come here collude with the underworld and turn their guns to help the underworld deal with them, then everything will be over. After all, the world of demons and ghosts that the senior just mentioned does not sound like a world that advocates peace. Even if they are willing to deal with the underworld, no one can guarantee what they will think when the underworld is gone. If they continue to deal with the Tianyuan realm or the Sumeru realm, no one can resist them. And the Tianji building master in front of them, before them it seems that he is a being with great supernatural powers. With the help of the senior Tianji building master, he can definitely calculate which world hates the underworld more. Moreover, not too ambitious yet. There are so many worlds that hate the underworld. Li Yun said slowly. Back then, the underworld left a huge shadow on countless worlds. To this day, there are still ancient immortal kings who are very afraid of the underworld coming back again. But those who are willing to help Taishu and others. Li Yun could only laugh. Do you think that all cultivators have a pure heart and few desires? Those who have reached this point like you are all people with strong obsessions. If you have some unrealistic ideas, you should give up. Li Yun said lightly. The meaning of this nonsense is very clear. That is, there are many enemies in the underworld, but if you want others, help them deal with Tianmang Mountain for free, pat your butt and leave afterward, and do not interfere with their future. That is it's simply impossible. You know. It's easy to invite gods but hard to send them away. This is an iron rule. In the past, some immortal kings and the like didn't know the existence of the Tianyan realm, so that's it. But recently they know. I also learned that this world has boundless potential. No strong person can occupy it. Who wouldn't be tempted? This, well. Taishu sighed helplessly. He also understood that some of his ideas were too naive. In this world, there is no way to have the best of both worlds. At present, the only reliable one is that the person who wants to come over is just too cruel, and no more indiscriminate killing of innocent people. I also ask my seniors for advice, as long as it can save the many current worlds and water and fire. Taishu said respectfully. He didn't want to think about cultivating the immortal king for the time being. The ancestor of the Zhou family next to him also had the same idea. People from Tianmang Mountain are here. Even if they want to buy information, they won't do it now. At least they have to wait. Let's talk after the people from Tianmang Mountain leave, so as not to end up in vain. If they can invite a few strong reinforcements now, it will undoubtedly be more cost-effective than cultivating the immortal king themselves. After all, immortal kings from other worlds are not weak. Against Tianmang Mountain, the odds of victory are greater. What a coincidence. Li Yun glanced outside the city, sighed without any trace, and said, there is really a powerful world in my west, maybe I can help you. The world he spoke of was nothing else. It was the world of gods. Originally, if Wang Che and others did not leave Dawang City, they might be able to save their lives, but if the other party insisted on leaving, he would not stop them. Judging from the outcome, fall may be their only ending. At the very least, they spread the news. As long as the news is spread, it will attract the attention of the Lu clan in the god realm. When the immortal king of the Lu clan comes, the situation will be difficult to predict. Got it? Please give me some advice from my seniors. Taishu was overjoyed. He took a step forward, took out a lot of things and placed them in front of Li Yun. Next to him, True Lord Changsheng and the ancestor of the Zhou family also looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. There were other immortal kings coming over. And he is willing to help himself and others, then he is safe. The ancestor of the Zhou family pondered for a moment, and also took out a storage ring and placed it in front of Li Yun. Since he was buying information, he did not let Taishu pay for it out of his own pocket. He has to express some of his reasons. After all, he is already standing here. This world is none other than the divine world. Li Yun collected all the resources and said, soon, a powerful family in the god realm will send people over. The ones coming are the three immortal kings, and their strength cannot be underestimated. If you can handle it properly, although it is not easy to deal with Tianmang Mountain, it will not be too difficult. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 579. Handled properly. Next to him, the immortal Lord of Immortality frowned, and he noticed a bad aura. The three immortal kings came over, and with the help of Senior Taishu, it stands to reason that it should be a sure thing to deal with the two immortal kings in Tianmang Mountain. But why does the senior still say these four words? With the strength of the senior, he will not be unreasonable, and his words must have such profound meaning. I would like to ask, senior, if what you just said meant something else. Taishu also felt that something was wrong. He took out a few resources, placed them in front of Li Yun, and asked respectfully. He has come to Tianji Tower many times. Taishu also knew that the news should be heard in full, otherwise, how would he die in the end? You don't even know, let alone the people from Tianmang Mountain behind you. If someone plots against you, everything will be over. Have you forgotten that the people from Tianmang Mountain have already arrived outside Dawang City? Li Yun put away the resources and wrote lightly. As soon as these words came out, whether it was Taishu, the immortal lord, and the ancestor of the Zhou family, they all secretly said that it was true. They had speculated before that there might be the lord of Tianmang Mountain. Take action, and now that I heard a positive reply, I immediately confirmed what I was thinking. Originally, with the strength of the two immortal kings in Tianmang Mountain, it was impossible to deal with the three immortal kings. But with the guidance of the senior Tianji building master, it can be done maybe. Thinking of this, several people felt very complicated. They wanted to plead with their seniors not to point out the people in Tianmang Mountain, but when they asked themselves, they felt that the weight of others was not enough. Some words could not be said at all. If you make the senior Tianji building owner unhappy, then the gain will outweigh the loss. Senior, I wonder why the three immortal kings you just mentioned came to us suddenly. Where will they cross the border from? The ancestor of the Zhou family thought for a while and asked. He felt that the neutral position of the Tianji building master was already very clear. Instead of begging the seniors not to help Tianmang Mountain, it would be better to ask the details of the three immortal kings, and more better. After all, Master Tianji has no ill intentions towards these worlds. But the three immortal kings cannot be said. At the moment, although the underworld has made a comeback, the news cannot be transmitted so fast. They have all crossed the chaos. It spread to the God realm and attracted three immortal kings. No matter how you look at it, it seems that there is a great secret hidden in it. This news, although not very important, is also of great value. Li Yun raised his eyes and glanced at the ancestor of the Zhou family. The latter immediately understood and placed several immortality-level elixirs in front of Li Yun, hoping to say, Senior, please clarify your doubts. Easy to say. Li Yun put the elixir away and said, because the other immortal king in Tianmang Mountain is from the God realm, and the three immortal kings coming across the realm at this moment are the same as him. Family. They are actually the same family. The ancestor of the Zhou family froze in his eyes. This was the first time he knew this news. If his guess was correct, the three immortal kings of this family would come here to clean up the family. From this point of view, the other parties naturally, he stood with them. If the two sides join forces, Tianmang Mountain can be destroyed in an instant. And the reason why Tianmang Mountain will target the three immortal kings who crossed over is probably because of this. Both parties come from the same family. Senior, I wonder when the other party will cross over and come from that place. The ancestor of the Zhou family asked. This is very important. There is no action in Tianmang Mountain yet, but when they enter the Tianji Tower, they will definitely ask for the same news. One step ahead, they can rush to the place to arrange it. In this way, the three immortal kings will be prevented from being plotted to death by Tianmang Mountain before they can figure out the situation. Isn't this obvious? Li Yun chuckled and said slowly, Sumi realm. Sumeru realm. Hearing these three words, several people in the hall were shocked, and then calmed down. Since the three immortal kings who crossed over have already known the news, it is reasonable to appear directly in the Sumeru realm. Senior, the Sumeru realm is vast, does it have a specific location? The ancestor of the Zhou family asked again. The Lu family. Li Yun said casually. The Lu clan in the Sumeru realm is very different from the Lu clan in the God realm, but since Lu Qingyu chose this family to reincarnate, it proves that the two parties still have some connection. However, this connection is too old and has almost disappeared. There is none left. The Lu family. The ancestor of the Zhou family looked thoughtful. He seemed to have heard about this family. If he remembered correctly, it should be an imperial family. The strength of the clan members was mediocre and there was nothing outstanding about it. Although they were not considered strong, they were not strong either. It was too weak and could only be regarded as a mid-range force. After thinking for a long time, he could not figure out why the three immortal kings chose to come here. In the end, he could only attribute it to a coincidence. Thanks for the advice, Senior. The ancestor of the Zhou family raised his hands and looked at each other with Taishu and others. The two sides immediately understood each other's intentions, and at the same time they raised their hands and said, "Juniors and others will leave for now. With the help of three immortal kings, I and others can put aside the idea of spending resources to cultivate immortal kings for the time being, because it is too unsafe. People from Tianmang Mountain are here. I and others also bought opportunities and tried to becoming an immortal king is tantamount to seeking your own death. Right now, the most important thing is to level Tianmang Mountain with the help of the three immortal kings." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 580. At the same time. Spirit World. The Lu family. This is an ancient family. Within the ancestral land, immortal energy is lingering, and divine peaks stand tall. There is a terrifying aura escaping from each divine peak. It was as if ancient gods were dormant in it. The most central place. On a divine peak as high as 10,000 feet. The leader of the Lu clan was sitting upright. He was wearing a long robe and a jade crown on his head. His eyes were open and closed, with a cold light shining through them. His majesty, which was not angry and self-respecting, weighed on the hearts of countless people. Below him, they are several elders of the Lu family. Each of their cultivation levels is very terrifying. If they are placed in the outside world, if they stomp their feet, the whole world will be shaken. You have all read the news sent back by the Jade Slip just now. Elders, please share your opinions. Clan Chief Lu said in a deep voice. The Jade Slips he was talking about were exactly the news sent back by Zhang Zhangfeng. The information in the Jade Slips was not perfect, and only a small part was sent back, but this was enough. The information in the Jade Slips was the news mentioned that Lu Qingyu joined Tianmang Mountain. Before Lu Qingyu was reincarnated, he was a supreme elder. He held a high position and had great authority. It was not their turn to comment. But if the other party joined Tianmang Mountain, the meaning was different. The Lu family, after all, this family is also an ancient family that has experienced the war in the underworld. There are records of how to deal with the forces that sided with the underworld. Tianmang Mountain is not conspicuous on the underworld side. There are many more terrifying forces than them, but this it's not important. What's important is that Tianmang Mountain has been branded as the underworld. And Lu Qingyu joined Tianmang Mountain. What does this mean? He rebelled and surrendered to the enemy? Or is the underworld resurrected and trying to make a comeback? No matter where it is. One thing, they must treat this matter carefully. It is best to bring Lu Qingyu back before the news spreads and deal with it according to the family law. Otherwise, among the Lu clan, there is a supreme elder who joined Tianmang Mountain. Once this news gets out, the prestige that the Lu family has accumulated over the years will be destroyed. Patriarch, after all, it was just a servant who sent back the news. The news has not been confirmed yet. I think it is not easy to act rashly. Why not send someone over first to find out the situation? An elder stood up first and spoke sincerely. As soon as he said these words, the Lu clan leader gave him a meaningful look. This person is a descendant of Lu Qingyu. Lu Qingyu was born after the War of the Underworld. For countless years, the descendants of his lineage have flourished in the Lu clan. Many of them are in high positions. Now that they have heard the bad news about Lu Qingyu, as Lu Qingyu's descendants, how can you admit it? If there is other news, that's it. But it happened that Lu Qingyu joined Tianmang Mountain, and Tianmang Mountain is a subsidiary of the underworld. If they admit this, not only Lu Qingyu is finished. Their lineage, Lu Qingyu's descendants. It is estimated that it will be over as well. Still need to inquire. At this moment, a man with a majestic appearance strode out and said in a cold voice, "The servant who sent back the news has just broken the soul card." Its fate can be imagined. Without the intervention of Supreme Elder Lu Qingyu, how could they have sent back such news? Moreover, those people are all subordinates of Supreme Elder Lu Qingyu, and they are loyal. I think it is impossible for these people to slander Elder Lu Qingyu. So, the middle-aged man glanced at the old man who had just spoken, and said in a deep voice, "I can confirm that the Supreme Elder Lu Qingyu has betrayed the Lu clan, betrayed the God realm, and joined the underworld." As soon as the last few words came out, it seemed as if thunder exploded. Everyone was stunned for a while. The word underworld is a taboo in the God realm. Not to mention joining it, even if someone mentions it, people can't help but change their expressions. After all, the world of gods is different from other worlds. During the war in the underworld, many worlds suffered a devastating blow, leading to the severance of inheritance. Therefore, the understanding of the underworld was limited to a few words. But the world of gods is different. Not only did they personally participate in that battle, they even preserved it, so the records of the underworld are extremely detailed. Many people have not experienced that battle. We can also understand from ancient books the desperate situation faced by all the worlds. Because of this, many people hate the underworld deeply, and anyone who has any involvement with the underworld will be liquidated by the entire God realm. What the ninth elder said is right. Another man came out and echoed. As soon as he came out, the old man who had spoken just now turned pale. He understood what happened today, and I'm afraid it would be difficult to do well. These people had no intention of joining Lu Qingyu. Mangshan probably doesn't care. I'm afraid the main reason is to clear out the descendants of Lu Qingyu's lineage. Once Lu Qingyu's descendants are cleared out, a large area of real power positions will be vacated, and then their own people can be installed. Sixth elder, do you think that what a servant said is worthy of the Lu clan going to war over it? The old man said with a bad look on his face. Of course. The sixth elder nodded. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 581. The sixth elder looked calm and said calmly, "Whether this matter is true or false, we, the Lu clan, cannot sit idly by and ignore it at this moment. The supreme elder must come forward to solve the problem. Otherwise, once word spreads, the prestige of our Lu family will be lost overnight." A supreme elder, with a high position, suddenly joined the underworld after reincarnation. If this became known to everyone, then how could the Lu family have the face to continue to stay in the God realm? Besides, after countless years, the Lu clan is not without enemies. If their enemies make a big fuss out of this, then things will be bad. It would be fine if it is false, but if it is true, they cannot guarantee the fate of the Lu clan. The entire clan may be implicated by Lu Qingyu, because outsiders cannot guarantee it. Is it just Lu Qingyu who defected to the underworld, or the entire Lu clan has this plan? If the underworld of the past comes again, and the Lu family stabs the God realm in the back, no one will be able to withstand it. In this case, erasing the Lu family is undoubtedly the best choice. Elder Lu Qingyu hasn't replied to the message yet, so we might as well wait, maybe things will turn around. The old man looked unkind and said in a deep voice. This is their last hope. When the clan leader summoned everyone, he had already conveyed the message to Lu Qingyu, but unfortunately, no response has come yet. As if Lu Qingyu he has never seen anything like this. This made him feel very uneasy. Even when he spoke, he felt a little lack of confidence. Reply message. Ah! The ninth elder sneered. He took 1,000 steps and came to the old man. He stood opposite him with an equally cold expression and said, "Do you think Elder Lu Qingyu will still reply to messages? Even if he replied, how credible would his words still be? The fact that he joined the underworld is not a trivial matter. We, the Lu clan, would rather believe that he exists than believe that he does not. If he did not join the underworld, then everyone would naturally be happy. At most, it's just a trip for a few supreme elders. But if he joins the underworld. Speaking of which, there was already a hint of chilling murderous intent in the ninth elder's words. Although it was not said out loud. But those present already understood. That is to let the few supreme elders who rushed over take action in person to clean up the door. Patriarch, there are still many secrets in this matter. I feel that we should be cautious. If it is because of the remarks of a servant, our Lu family will go into war. It is even more important to ask several supreme elders to take action. If word spreads, I am afraid that our Lu family will become a laughing stock." The old man said sadly. What if, after a few supreme elders passed by and found out that everything was a misunderstanding, it would be great fun. Others might have thought that the Lu family would follow the wind and be punished by the underworld. If you are afraid of being beaten, you will go into battle if there is any disturbance. How can you not be laughed at behind your back? Then according to the third elder's opinion, how should we deal with this matter? The leader of the Lu clan raised his eyebrows and asked with interest. I believe that this matter should be resolved secretly. It is best to send a few people to find out before it is too late. If the people sent still die, it will prove that Elder Lu Qingyu has joined Tianmang Mountain. If he had not died, it would have given Elder Lu Qingyu a chance to explain. In this way, our Lu family does not need to cause trouble in the city and everyone knows about it. Said. The third elder glanced at the other two people and snorted lightly. In his opinion, his approach can be said to be mature and prudent. It is the safest way to avoid the Lu family being embarrassed in front of the entire divine world. Third elder, do you know that this matter is related to the underworld? No matter what, our Lu family cannot just sit idly by and ignore it. Clan Chief Liu's face gradually turned cold, and he said in a deep voice. Elder Lu Qingyu is not an ordinary person, he is an immortal king, and the force that can make an immortal king condescend and join it is extraordinary. Patriarch, you. The expression of the third elder changed and he said displeasedly, could it be that the clan leader also thinks that Elder Lu Qingyu has joined Tianmang Mountain? You must know that these are just the words of the servant. Oh. Clan leader Lu said coldly, Elder Lu Qingyu, why didn't you respond for so long? Although he has been reincarnated, his connection with the Lu family is still there. It is impossible that when the servants have sent back the news, he has yet to respond. Maybe. The third elder argued, maybe Elder Lu Qingyu has encountered some trouble. If trouble can threaten an immortal king, it is even more appropriate for the Supreme Elder and others to take action. Clan Chief Lu waved his sleeves and said coldly, I have made up my mind. Today I will meet with all the Supreme Elders and ask them to come forward and bring Elder Lu Qingyu back. If it is all a misunderstanding, we, the Lu clan, will not delay Elder Lu Qingyu's reincarnation and rebuilding path. But if the matter is true, our Lu family will definitely not collude with the underworld.